Old School RuneScape's 4th raid, The Fractured Archive, is coming out December 2026. It's an incredibly exciting time for the game because we have not seen a new raid since TOA, which was back in 2022. I personally love the Gothic Scene theme. The concept art we have already seen looks great, but there is a lot, and I mean a lot of talk going on around the rewards themselves. Because new rewards, yes, they are getting harder to balance. Boss mechanic design can go wild, but the reward space inherits every old item and boss, which gives Jagex a ton of extra work. Still, the rewards pass the poll, except for one that I will talk about later. However, weird questions came up even during the design phase and during the reward primers Jagex put out. Let me give a weird example of its side effects we can already see proposed. Did you know Nex is getting changed because of the raids for megarare? During the design juggle, people liked that the Obligator, and I am a bit salty that we landed on this name, I wanted the lava turd, was best in slot at Nex. But during the first passive redesign, it lost that ability. I will talk about the details later, but it reveals just how difficult it is to balance a mega rare in the direction people truly want it to go. But how much of the old game must change so that the new purples can feel exciting? Let's start with the purple elephant in the room. Do we need to have a mega rare for a new raid? I mean, OSRS is famous for its combat triangle and they're all covered. Now, it's a problem where to put it, so the question is valid. Why not leave it out entirely? This could be a topic for an entire video, so I will keep it brief to, in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons, the economic implication. Mega rares are, by Jagex's definition, account-changing, clearly best-in-slot prestige items, and that carries economic weight. When you roll a purple in the Chambers of Xeric, you have a 2 in 69 chance to roll a Twisted Bow, which is 2.9%, yet its value carries 59.2% of the purple profit overall. For the Theater of Blood, the side rate is 1 in 19 or 5.26%, but it carries 76.5% of the purple item's expected value combined. For the Tombs of Amascut normal mode, the shadow rate is 1 in 24 or 4.17%, and it carries 71.3%, and for a 500, it's 77.3%. So what do the numbers mean? Depending on raid and difficulty, a mega rare appears in only 1 out of every 19 to 35 purples, and that tiny slice carries most of the unique expected value. Removing the mega rare while keeping the values of the other purples constant would remove 59 to 77% of a purple chest's value across all raids. Of course, since fewer people would raid, this would in turn slightly push the purple prices up, but simply supply cannot beat the massive economic value a mega rare drop provides. Could Jagex compensate with, on average, stronger purples, which would bring a Fractured Archive purple in line with the other raids? Sure, but that would need even stronger regular uniques, which then creates more power creep in other parts of the game as well, except for the niche the proposed mega rare fights for. So, the mega rare, where would you put it? Jagex needs to tap into increasingly niche and weird mechanics, and from the old attack speed, offense, defense triangle, we started expanding this triangle into weird shapes. Mega rares specifically, the Twisted Bow made enemy magic stats become a lever for ranged combat. Scythe turned enemy size into a lever for slash style, and it uses charges, so there's an upkeep. And Shadow is just busted, and Jagex admits it's a problem. It has no specific positive design levers that Jagex can adjust other than the charge cost. It's actively backfiring anytime new magic gear is proposed. The new mega rare ended up as another melee weapon with a bonus against large enemies, but this time targeting crush weakness with a niche alternative 3-tick setting. It seems a bit similar to Scythe, but why? Why not have a smaller, faster weapon? The answer is simple. Jagex and the community thinks a mega rare needs to be a slow, big, two-handed, heavy-hitting weapon, which is weird when the final design is smaller than most of the weapons we have today. The community made some awesome alternate designs, but this video is not about the visual style of the 4th mega rare, so let's continue. So with the niche design levers, we're currently looking at the following levers for weapon balance: offensive stats, defensive stats, speed, attack styles, enemy type, enemy size, enemy defensive stats, enemy stats in general, one or two-handedness, special attacks, resource use, and now with rates 4 rewards, enemy geometry with the breaker and additional mitigation with the Rondache. There might be some more, but I went through as many as I could find. If you can think of more, leave them in the comments, please. Surprisingly, out of the 3 existing megarares, we can observe 2 failure modes from the 2 different ends of the spectrum. Tome Shadow multiplies worn magic bonuses 3 times outside the TOA and 4 times inside. A future item with a plus 2% magic damage therefore offers plus 6% anywhere in the game. During the 2025 Confliction Gauntlets discussion, Jagex said Shadow has the magic combat style in a wise grip, and that this design choice ended up dictating every single future best-in-slot magic item conversation. The team openly committed to adjusting the Shadow before proposing another best-in-slot magic reward. The rates 4 rewards primer then obviously treated a magic mega rare as out of the question. This is reward space debt. Shadow's current strength is half of the problem. It multiplies whenever there is any new magic content added. The other end of the spectrum is the Scythe of Wither. The Scythe was not performing as a mega rare should have. In 2024 January, 5.5 years after the Scythe was added to the game, Jagex ran a massive list of changes. Scythe received plus 15 to its slash accuracy, estimated to increase Scythe DPS by 0.2 to 7% based on enemy defense. The blood rune cost was reduced by 33%, and the Scythe stopped consuming charges when it hit 0. Indirectly, the Scythe was further buffed by making the busted Osmanthum's Fangs passive only apply to stab, and not to slash. This is the opposite problem as Shadow, but this is healthier for the game. So what can we learn from this when designing the 4th mega rare? It has to be closer to Shadow in terms of impact, but closer to Scythe in containability. We need to define what old territory it can take and where it needs to clearly lose. Here is where the reward proposal blocks come in. Initially, the Target Breaker, its original name, considered more defense values when rolling. Effectively, range defense could create free rolls, which made the Breaker beat Scythe at bosses associated with slash weakness. The size bonus was 25% to 50%. Then it got changed to 1 by default and plus 2 rolls for each melee defense above Crush, pushing it fully towards the Crush niche. Size bonus was changed to 20 to 40%. In the final proposal, it now rolls 2, 3 or 4 times depending on Crush defense's rank among the melee defenses. Size bonus remains at 20 to 40. This improved neutral performance while making Scythe still ahead when no hard defense niches are applied. These 2 revisions were essentially Jagex deciding which territories the Breaker was allowed to take from the Scythe. I've been talking about rolls, but what does that mean? The mega rare rolls the damage multiple times. What does 4 damage rolls actually do? For a simplified continuous damage roll from 0 to a fixed max hit, keeping the highest of n rolls has expected value of n over n plus 1 of that maximum. For 1 roll, that's 50% expected of the max hit. For 2, that's 66.7%. For 3, it's 75%. And for 4 rolls, it's 80% of the max hit. Add the 40% 3x3 size multiplier, and that is 0.8 times 1.4, which is 1.12 times the max hit on average, compared to a 0.5 of a standard weapon. That is 2.24 times the average raw hit in this intentionally artificial same max hit comparison. Of course, accuracy, attack speed, base stats change this, but it shows what these extra rolls combined with size bonus truly does. To round off the mega rare discussion, I would like to go back to Nex. In the initial proposal, the Breaker was best in slot at Nex, as in not just a little. It was 24% better than Fang, according to the DPS calculations. Later tuning removed this use, but the community liked the idea. A common TOE purple being best in slot at a boss which drops a bunch of best in slot items, did not sit well with the community after they saw what else we could have. The plan is now to lower Nexus Crush defense, so the megarare can become best in slot and receive all its damage rolls. Why does this matter? Because the reward came first, and Jagex now changes the boss to accommodate it. It's not the first time this happened. When the Twisted Bow was added to the game, General Grardor was changed, as well as a magic input cap all over the game was added, so it's not too overpowered. But generally, bosses adjusted for the sake of new gear is not something OSRS does very often. New bosses designed to be weak against recent items or even their own drops, sure. But old bosses change so new items can perform better. That's a dangerous road to go down on. Alright, enough with the megarare. The Fractured Archive has many other very interesting rewards we can take a look at. Arguably the second most interesting one, both by item design, game design, and impact to the economy, and my personal favorite is the Rondache. This is a shield, which is the icon of the offhand slot, without really being viable in any content due to the defender meta. This shield would give the wearers +2 flat armor against all non-typeless damage. Up to 20 charges can be stored from mitigated damage and can be spent on an instant attack cooldown independent shield bash with a max hit of 24 at full charges. As of now, it is proposed with a +8 strength bonus, the same as the Avernic Defender, but no accuracy bonuses. The 2 flat armor steers the item into a specific encounter type. It performs better against frequent small hits, especially with the special attack. 10 mitigated hits can fully charge it. It prevents 20 damage while potentially hitting 24 back, creating a 44 damage HP swing against the target for every special attack. The more you can spec, the more often this HP swing is applied, and if the bash can outweigh the accuracy gained from the Avernic, then congratulations Rondache, you are the clear winner here. As I said, it has the same strength bonus as the Avernic Defender. Why is this a potential problem? The Avernic Defender drops at 8 out of 19, or 42.1% of all Theater of Blood uniques. Despite this, due to the nature of top purples, is the second most expensive item after the Scythe, as of mid-August 2026. Weighted by probability, Avernics contribute 14.4% of the top purple table's expected value. So here's the thing, together with the Scythe, which as we said earlier is 76.5% of the purple's expected value, these two items make up 91% of the expected value of a Theater of Blood purple chest. That is massive. So which two items does the Fractured Archive directly impact? That's right. The Breaker takes away crush uses from the Scythe and forces it to share some use cases, while the Rondache competes with the Avernic. Just a sensitivity example, let's say the Scythe and the Avernic, 2 items out of all the top purples, both lose 20% of their value, while everything else stays the same. An average purple chest loses 18.2% of its value. This illustrates the massive concentration risk that is currently around the Theater of Blood uniques. Jagex had an idea which plays into the upgradescape idea that defined a lot of best-in-slot items for a while, but could ultimately help Avernic and the health of the purple economy. They are considering removing the strength bonus from the Rondache, and players could restore it by consuming an Avernic. The final blog floated this as an idea, but did not confirm this. There is a reward that did not make the final cut. Jagex's March template for a healthy raid table was 1 megarare, 1 broadly useful best-in-slot armor set, and 1 to 3 strong standalone rewards. The raid's 4 reward table contains 6 approved categories, but no armor set. Why is that? Well, every style was blocked. Ranged had Masori from TOA, and Dishonest Quiver and the Rupture were recent enough, so this couldn't be power crept. Melee still had Torva and the newer Oathplate, with the Inquisitor still standing in a crush best-in-slot role, although still kind of unresolved in terms of balance. Magic has the 9-year-old Ancestral, but any raw magic upgrade was blocked by the Shadow's balance issues. So Jagex proposed a hybrid set, a 3-piece melee/mage hybrid that had 16 prayer bonus, close to Proselyte's 18, more melee strength than Bendo's and Oathplate, but 5 less than Torva. Magic damage in line with Virtus and below Ancestral, 28 magic defense and no negative defenses, and enough offensive stats to function for 2 combat styles. A 3-piece endgame viable hybrid set could replace 2 3-piece switches and free 3 inventory slots. Inventory space is an unofficial combat stat, but tends to fly under the radar, especially during supply-limited encounters. It's a very valuable quote-unquote stat, so the more you can save, the better, right? Well, yes, but from a game balance standpoint, the armor set failed from both directions. Maxed players had better specialized gear and very little reason to use it, while mid to late game players without max gear could bypass a lot of the melee and magic gear progression. Balancing it would have been a nightmare. Weakening it further would make it inappropriate for the hardest raid that would come into the game, while making it even stronger would displace more existing rewards from the gear progression. This is a clear example and evidence against the fact that in old school RuneScape you can't just make side grades out of everything and call it a day. And finally, the rest of the rewards. Each of them is a little different in what old gear or content they replace or upgrade. They are a lot more clear-cut in terms of game balance and either power creep very old content or fill niches that are safe without breaking the game, but still they do carry a cost that Jagex needs to pay attention to in the future. Elemental Fragments are an account unlock giving +2 max hit to each element's spells. This affects standard spellbook spells. It most notably buffs the Harm Staff and Twin Flame Staff without touching Shadow's power and without the Shadow affecting its power back. In return, this makes future elemental damage tuning inherit another permanent account upgrade that Jagex needs to take into account. Zorya's Tome is a magic DPS spec weapon. The opening hit and the next 3 hits get an accuracy and damage bonus. It's along the lines of a magic-based Dragon Claws or Zarya crossbow, and it feels a relatively empty magic spec burst roll. In return, it adds another inventory/spec switch and needs an extra check from Jagex for boss HP or defense windows. Zeal is a pure piety power creep. Piety released on 24th of July 2007, 19 years ago. It gives 20% attack, 23% strength, and 25% defense. Zeal is 25% attack, 28% strength, 25% defense, and same prayer drain. At 99 strength after a standard super combat boost, the visible level is 118. Zeal is an effective 6 strength levels over Piety after boosts. Piety is used everywhere, so this is a big unlock, but also a big risk for future content. It's permanent, universal melee power with no post-unlock trade-off. It needs to be taken into account for every future design. Ascension Crossbows are a 2-tick, heavy-ranged upgrade to the blowpipe. It comes with its own unique ammo, Ascension Bolts, which are available in regular, diamond, and onyx variants, so of course no ruby. Why was removing ruby bolts necessary here? A regular 5-tick crossbow attacks 1200 times per hour at continuous uptime, while Ascension Crossbows would fire 3000 times per hour. It essentially means rubies would proc 2.5 times as often. A 6% activation rate in PVM hitting up to 100 damage would be simply broken. Of course, this comes with its own cost. A new ammo ecosystem Jagex needs to manage and deliver on their promise to come up with a better solution or expansion in the future. While it's true that the Ascension Crossbow power creeps the blowpipe, yes, its true drawback comes from the fact that it adds bloat to the game. There we go. All confirmed and failed raids 4 rewards covered. We looked at game balance considerations for each, what they power crept for better or worse, and what dangers they might pose for the future. The lesson to learn is that at this point in the game's maturity, it's really hard to create strong and meaningful, but still carefully balanced items. Conditional equipment is one of old school RuneScape's best design features. It keeps almost every boss relevant, makes proper preparation and unconventional grinds matter, and prevents the entire game from collapsing into a one-item level ladder like most modern MMOs. I can't wait for the Fractured Archive, can't wait to see everyone's first day attempts, and I can't wait to see what you guys think about the rewards. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.